Rock and roll. Get you out of here today.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so let's call the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Services Committee meeting to order. May I have a motion for the minutes? Move second and call the questions. In favor, opposed, motion carried. The next committee meeting will be on April the 25th at 4 o'clock, same place. Is there anything to add to the agenda or not? Okay, seeing none, so we can call the first item, Art Service Year Review 2022. So anything to add to the report?
I have nothing to add, although I do have a lovely video to show you before.
Yep.
Let's rock and roll.
Richmond Arts Services is guided by Artworks, Richmond Art Strategy, which envisions an art scene that animates our city every day, offers rich arts education and experiences, festivals and events, fosters social connections and wellness, builds arts and cultural leadership, and provides creative spaces.
By connecting highlights from 2022 with the 5 strategic directions of the art strategy, this video will illustrate how art works in Richmond as we transition to operations free of pandemic restrictions.
With hundreds of courses, 9 resident art groups, the Children's Arts Festival, exhibitions, and more, the Richmond Arts Center is a leader in the field of accessible professional arts education and community arts development. In 2022, virtual, outdoor, and in-person programs ran throughout the year.
In the Media Lab, 50 members of the Free Richmond Youth Media Program logged over 2,200 hours learning media skills and putting them to creative use, such as participating in the production of the annual Richmond Remembers live video simulcast.
Richmond Art Gallery is a nationally recognized gallery known for its diverse range of exhibitions and programs that engage with issues and ideas of importance to our community.
2022's opening exhibition, Nourish, featured works by Jane Wong, who drew upon her childhood in a Chinese-American restaurant, alongside family members with a history of hunger and poverty in their homeland.
Meanwhile, videos by artist Theo Mizank explored intuition, the natural world, and mental health. Within the context of a global pandemic, these works were reminders to nourish ourselves and others.
The exhibition featured many programs highlighting Richmond's international food culture and histories, including an online compilation of 70 recipes contributed by community members.
In order to strengthen the infrastructure of Richmond's arts and culture organizations and support a wide range of creative activity, the Arts and Culture Grants Program invested $119,502 through operating and project assistance grants to 19 nonprofit arts organizations.
The Arts and Culture e-Blast provided more than 500 subscribers with practical news and opportunities in the arts and culture sector, such as training, artist calls, and funding resources.
Free professional development and networking opportunities through the Cultural Development Office, Art at Work program, and Artist Salon series addressed career development, nonprofit management, and more.
Richmond's signature festivals showcased local artists with the triumphant in-person return of the 75th annual Steveston Salmon Festival and the Richmond Maritime Festival.
Richmond Arts Awards recipients were celebrated on stage at the Gateway Theatre. National Indigenous Peoples Day and Pride Week were marked by free hands-on art-making activities. And Culture Days, with 40 artists and organizations presenting 55 free public activities, was named the #1 community in BC, ranking 2nd nationally for mid-sized cities.
And throughout the year, Branscombe House artist-in-residence Crystal Kieran made powerful community connections through dance, music, reading, movement, and healing arts.
In 2022, 2 new civic public artworks, both large-scale and artful shelters, were installed in brand-new parks, Pergola Garden in Alexandra Park and Wake in Tate Waterfront Park.
Community public art programs like utility box wraps and the No. 3 Road art columns added vibrancy to outdoor spaces while showcasing the work of Richmond artists.
Meanwhile, hosting the Blue Cabin Artist Residency at Imperial Landing in Steveston led to the commissioning of a hand-woven blanket by artist Deborah Sparrow, now on display in City Hall.
And of course, The city's mural program boasted 5 new community-informed works this year, including A Fisherman's Dream by Carolyn Wong.
The Richmond Arts Strategy guides decision-making to empower ideas, people, and resources around a shared vision led by the guiding principles of excellence,
Sustainability,
creativity,
accessibility,
inclusivity,
community building.
and celebration.
The arts help us to achieve community goals in economic development, health, and well-being as we boast a richly diverse and multifaceted community.
And they are essential to Richmond's aspiration to be the most appealing, livable, and well-managed community in Canada.
Okay. So any questions or comments? I have to say that this is the most colorful report. I mean colorful in terms of content. So any? Oh. No.
It's all right. I just wanted to say bravo, bravo. And can we have it shown at the next council meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's on the agenda, and we show this to the committee. Absolutely fantastic. Keep up the good work.
Okay, Andy?
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, that was a great video and great report. It was just chock full of great information. I am a little curious as to who beat us in Canada, though.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, if you're referring to the Culture Days, number 2 in Canada for mid-sized cities, the number 1 was Oakville, Ontario.
Okay, well, I won't talk about them anymore. But in the report, a couple things were really interesting, like the tax kind of class for artists. I thought that was really cool and kind of a slightly different thing. And one thing I did wonder about, just wandering around the city a little bit, when it comes to the wrap boxes in particular, I've noticed a little bit more graffiti and tagging on them. And I always kind of thought taggers respected other people's art. Is that just a standard amount that we're seeing, or is there an uptick in some vandalism, or have you guys noticed any of that?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, we haven't noticed an increase. Certainly, wrapping boxes is considered an anti-graffiti technique, and the covers themselves have anti-graffiti coating, so they're easy to clean and replace if there is vandalism. So as soon as we hear about something, we do address it as soon as we can.
Yeah. And the last comment I'll just make is about the art truck. I thought that was a really cool idea too, so I understand that it will continue on in some form, so, and that it is branded, so that sounds really good too for students. So thanks, yeah, outstanding. Thank you.
Laura?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I too am very impressed with the broadness of the events and what we were able to do last year, considering the first part of the year was still with restrictions. It's really impressive. I didn't see the part about that we were ranked number 2. Can you just say what that was in exactly?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, yeah, annually the Culture Days event that happens across Canada. In Richmond, we do well every year, I'm proud to say, and we were, for the number of events, we ranked number 1 in British Columbia, and for mid-sized cities across Canada, we were ranked number 2.
And is that, so that's for our whole arts program?
That would be specifically for Culture
Just
Days,
for
which
Culture
is around 3 weeks, starting at the end of September every year.
Oh, well done. I was also wondering how we compared, if there was a tool to compare ourselves to, not that I want to compare ourselves to other cities, like at all, but you know, I'm just wondering, because some cities brand themselves like the city of the arts and whatnot, so I was wondering how we do as far as number of events and different types of events compared to other cities in the Lower Mainland, because it seems like we're doing pretty well. Yeah, good. And then I have one question about the art truck as well. I was thinking, especially for people with accessibility issues and whatnot, I was reading about that program. I was wondering, is there any talk about a program where you do like an art tour, so people could come to the museum, to the art gallery, have a tour of the art gallery, and then go on like a van tour to the various public art sites around the city?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, we do public art tours, bus tours, certainly during Doors Opened and Culture Days and other events. It's not connected specifically to the art truck. It's considered a separate program.
It is,
Yeah.
so we do have one like that.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, so well done, and also just the amount of artists that we have in Richmond that participate in some of the things, 50 artists, and the amazing resumes of some of the artists we have in residence. It's just, it's great to see. Well done, thank you.
Michael?
The chair, the staff, just a couple of comments and then one question. Yeah, as a result of this year, I've never acted as characters in Anna Green Gables so much, and so I took my daughter to watch it. It's a constant play that we have at our house now, and also the pottery. We've always bought pottery from unique places, but this last year at the Pottery Club sale, we just stocked up, and it's just incredible skill from our local pottery crew. Really nice to see the Maritime and Salmon Fest in full swing and all the activities available and music taken in by the crowds. It was just wonderful, and the murals keep spreading. We're now getting one out in Hamilton, and that program has really been successful. And attending some of our facilities like the library for Culture Day events. It's just been really wonderful. My question is around funding. I know there's no financial impact because the funding is all pre-budgeted, but I'm just curious, was this year one of the highest amount of financial investment into arts to date, or do you have any sense of how much the city is spending on art services, art programs, art-related events? Is this one of the pricier years, probably because of the pandemic swinging in or swinging out, I guess? Yeah.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we have a council-approved operating budget every year for the arts program, so the budget is fairly consistent from year to year unless we have some special programs going on. The public art budget can fluctuate depending on which projects we're drawing funds for. So, I think this year would be consistent with other years.
Okay, so I just one follow-up then. When I read in the report, the 119,000 or so invested to 19 nonprofit art organizations, is that in addition, or that was part of that budget?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that's specific to the Arts and Culture Grants Program, and every year it goes up by cost of living. So that's a standard budget item.
Okay, so really it's not, even though we were challenged with the pandemic and having events kind of just coming back into play, we were still kind of playing in that consistent budget. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I feel that when I read the report, it appears to me that the pandemic is nothing to impact us negatively in the last year, right? So I think we're doing so well, and I think there's something going on every day in Richmond in terms of culture and arts. Now, I know that Tourism Richmond, they also advertised Richmond for its arts and culture events. Do you know what kind of feedback that they have about, Richmond being successful in attracting tourists because of these arts and culture events?
We work with Tourism Richmond on a number of initiatives, particularly around the heritage sites, and we do know that they have an interest in what I would call the products we develop that draw visitors. And I know part of their philosophy is if locals enjoy it, visitors will enjoy it too. So a lot of the programs and services that we develop and deliver benefit both residents and visitors.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because I noticed that for the marketing strategy, arts and culture in Richmond is really a big thing for them. And I think, we also have to thank all the partners who are involved in making Richmond such a vibrant city in arts and culture activities. So with that, there's a recommendation. Do you have a mover? Move second. Question is in favor. Opposed, motion carry. Okay, moving on to the second item, which is our favorite subject, the bunnies. So Alex, anything to add or any highlights?
Through the chair, I'm here to, nothing further to add, and I'm here to answer any and all questions.
Any questions?
I don't have anything, so I'm with the recommendation.
Move second. Okay. Michael?
Thank you. Through the chair to staff, just a little list of questions here. I know we got in just a late a letter from Sorrel, so a couple of questions were kind of related to ones that she's asked, and a couple other people who are quite involved with rabbit rescue and control and such in Richmond. All right, so maybe I'll start with the investment from city funding or space for a sanctuary. Looking through my rabbit handbook here, rabbits live about 5 to 15 years, so if we trap them, spay, neuter them, we'd probably have like a decade window of time where we'd have to allow that space for the rabbits to kind of live out their lives. Maybe it's city space, maybe it's school district land. There's a lot of it kind of scattered around. Have we considered the next round of budget, a budget line for this, or space where we could provide the sanctuary as opposed to private landowners opening up their land for it?
Mm-hmm. Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that is one of the goals of the RFP process. We will be looking at identifying potential service providers, and then through that, some of the spaces that and services that they would offer, including space for rehoming or a sanctuary.
Okay, so to follow up on that then, so in the criteria of who's going to be awarded the contract, we're hoping that they provide the space, like they either own the space or their funding sources provide the space?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we have yet to develop the specific parameters or the scope of services of the RFP, but that is certainly something we would consider as being part of that package of services that we would be looking for from a successful proponent.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I believe, I'm not fully aware of it, but I think the city of Kelowna dealt with their problem by the city providing the space. And I think it was a successful program there. I know other areas like Victoria and UVic, like they had the space provided, but then switched their plan and had a lot of backlash from the public and tourists, and the whole province took a bit of heat on that one. Another one I have is the Invasive Species Council of British Columbia. I used to be on it when it was the Invasive Plant Council of Greater Vancouver. But this one here, I don't know, is the report, do you have an access to the report? Like it's mentioned in there, and they had 2 days of counting of the bunnies at these locations, but is there more details that we could see, so that we're basing all of this only on like staff going to these places just 2 times? Maybe we could ask them to go back again to get it updated before we award contracts. Any thoughts on like, are we satisfied with just 2 days of checking and numbers and kind of getting a very rough total?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we certainly do have a copy of that executive summary and the report itself on file, and it is of course available. With respect to the scope of services, we, within the scope that and the funding that we provided in that scope of services to Invasive Species Council of BC, we asked them to take a snapshot, if you will, of key locations on public land, specifically public land, throughout the city. And we asked them to also take a scientific, data-driven approach, and the results are outlined in the report to council.
Okay, thank that. I kind of follow up on that. A later question I had was that this was brought to this meeting, not to community safety, and I kind of was questioning that. And I get it because I think a lot of the study was done on public land, parks, as opposed to private land where maybe it would have then been a bylaw call. And and I just see like it's our bylaw officers who get called and report to the monthly committee meeting on animal control issues. And I know there is a table, and there's one of the headings is rabbits calls, which I think is quite a low number. And I was wondering, does that like that only relates to our bylaws getting calls. What about SPCA? Does that, are they both in that table? I can't recall, maybe community safety might be able to better to answer that. Or is there a separate number somewhere else that this committee is not seeing in this report?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the reporting of bylaw calls for rabbits is for our SPCA officer attendance.
Okay, and so do bylaw officers, do they have extra data statistics that are separate that aren't factored into those monthly reports, or they would all be together?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, it's all in the report.
Okay, and then what about, sorry, the next question, which might be for either of you, I don't know. What about our work to pressure the government of BC to pause or stop the sale of rabbits? Where does that factor into this equation? Because if we do a great job catching them, spaying and neutering them, letting them live out their life somewhere, there's a constant new supply coming every Easter and such. How are we addressing that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, it's my understanding that an effort was made previously at the UBCM meetings a few years back with respect to advocating the province, but the motion was not supported. The city of Richmond does not at this time consult or work with or talk to the province on the matter. That said, what the city is doing is we're doing a concerted effort on public education and public awareness campaign, particularly around Easter, and that is of course imminent, and we'll be following up with additional public information campaigns throughout the year.
Okay, thank you. My last comment or suggestion is I was told of a person I don't know anything about other than what they told me. His name's Dr. Joseph Martinez, and apparently he was responsible for volunteering his time to spay and neuter some 900 rabbits that were in Victoria. And apparently he still works in Vancouver on Sundays and might be willing to partner with municipalities because he's very passionate about rabbits. Is he on your radar, or have you heard of that name before, Dr. Martinez?
Through the chair, he is now on my radar.
Oh, okay. Okay, and I have his phone number here too. I haven't tried calling him. But.
That'd be excellent.
Okay, and then just final comment. Yeah, I appreciate the options that were listed in the report, and that the recommended one is the one with the word integrated. I know that's always been a thing with Invasive Plant Council, or the new name of it, to not just choose one solution, or hope you think you've chosen the right solution. And I really appreciate the comment for number 4 around the capture and humane euthanization, because over the last 5 years, we've got about 25 different residents of Richmond who've written completely against that option. So, and no one who's written to us saying, yes, use that option. So I think that's great to come out in the report that way. Thanks.
Good, thank you. Laura?
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. Thank you for this. I'm just trying to understand, I'm kind of new to the rabbit thing. So we have already been capturing rabbits when they are a problem in problem areas, and the SPCA spays and neuters them and rehomes them where possible, and then where they're not adoptable, they go to a sanctuary. And is that sanctuary rabbitats?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders. So first and foremost, just pulling back a little bit, staff, we manage rabbits on public land. So either in parks or city right-of-ways. So we will not manage rabbits on private property. So the first and foremost. Second, we have had in the past pilot projects such as at Dover Park, where we worked with Rabbitats and managed the rabbits in that park as a pilot project. Now at this time, our approach is to, as suggested in the RFP, in the report, is to go to an RFP process.
So to tender it out to somebody to manage this integrated approach for us?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct, Councillor.
Okay. And then, did you get this email from Rabbitats?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, yes, clerks provided that to us.
Okay, because I was just, I'm reading it, it's written as though people really understand everything that's gone on with rabbits, so I'm not totally clear on what they want from you, and if you are going to address that or not, or if they're just...
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, we're very familiar with the writer of the report and the organization that she represents. We are, per the report and pending council approval, we like to proceed with an RFP process to identify a service provider that would provide that comprehensive package of services as outlined in the report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, very good. Now, my question is, how fast can we move forward? So in terms of asking for the proposals and implementation, are we talking about months?
To the chair, yes, that would be a reasonable timeframe, 2 to 3 months following city purchasing policies.
Okay, good, thank you. So I see no further questions, and then motion's on the table. I ask for the question. Those in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 3, managers' report.
Through the chair to committee. With spring break having recently concluded, we wanted to share an update with you about many of the opportunities for Richmond residents and visitors during this year's break. Some highlights include 3,120 children and youth registered in 279 day camps and programs that were offered across the city this year. We saw a little over 20,000 people participate in drop-in sports and fitness at Richmond community centers, and nearly 59,000 people attended public swimming or fitness opportunities at Watermania and Minaroo Center for Active Living. During the break, Richmond also hosted 3 hockey tournaments, including the Richmond Jets Spring Break Hockey Tournament at the Richmond Ice Center. The Richmond Ravens Ice Classic Hockey Tournament was also held at the Ice Center with 82 teams and over 1,200 athletes, making it the largest female house-level hockey tournament in Western North America. And finally, the Carha Hockey World Cup, which is the largest adult recreational hockey tournament in the world, was held at all Richmond arenas, including the Richmond Olympic Oval, with 98 teams and approximately 1,600 participants. It was really great to see community services facilities so busy with these great events and activities for all to get active and have fun this spring break.
Any questions? Michael?
Yeah, thank you. I attended a few of the events for Carha, and one highlight was the Richmond team won it, the younger team bracket. But I heard from a few people who were watching that day, because it was the only game of the tournament held at Minaroo Stadium, and that many were saying that this is our showpiece rink. Why were we not getting more use out of that for that tournament, or are showcasing more of that facility? Because like the art wrap of the pillars, it's just a fantastic facility that shows the age and quality and care and maintenance of our buildings. So any comments on that?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, primarily the Richmond Ice Center and the Richmond Olympic Oval were used for the bulk of games. The feature game, as you noted, was hosted at the Richmond Minaroo arenas. Throughout the break as well, other opportunities were offered at Richmond Minaroo arenas, primarily public skating opportunities and other ways for children and youth to get active on the ice over the break.
For sure. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks.
Andy?
Thank you, through the chair. Great numbers, kind of mind-blowing in a way, and I too got out to a few hockey games for Carha, and those were great games, but I want to do a particular shout-out to the Ravens hockey tournament, because that was huge. And when we were walking through the parking lot, we knew some people playing, and license plates from all over the place, and a lot from the U.S., quite far away too. So, and it looked just huge, and lots of teams, and it was a ton of fun. So, yeah, it was great that we could accommodate all that. Nice to see people coming back to live things.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, any further reports?
I also wanted to provide an update to the committee about the coming World Leisure Day, which will be celebrated this year on Sunday, April 16th. So World Leisure Day is a global initiative of the World Leisure Organization. The theme for this year's World Leisure Day is Leisure for Social Transformation, to promote the importance of leisure activities in bringing people together, building social connections, and fostering community belonging. To celebrate the day, the city will be promoting a wide variety of activities and events that all residents and visitors can participate in at city libraries, parks, arts, culture, heritage, and recreation facilities. All the activities are being promoted through the city's website, on social media, at our community services facilities, and through a news release to the local media. Richmond will also be featured in social media promotions produced by the World Leisure Organization.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just a reminder that this Sunday, April 2nd, is the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's
Yes.
our first Cherry Blossom Festival since COVID, and we're happy to be welcoming back a full in-person event. Just a reminder, the festival starts at 11 a.m. There's a photo opportunity at 12:30, and then the main stage welcome at 1 p.m., followed by entertainment throughout the afternoon.
Because we have nothing yet in terms of a schedule.
Through the chair to Councillor
Could you
McNulty.
send that out
Yeah,
to all-
there
all
was a
council?
memo distributed,
Because
but
they're
I'm happy
not
to
here yet.
redistribute.
Thank you very much. I was wondering about that.
Very good.
Good.
Okay, seeing no more
Move
reports.
adjournment.
So the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.